Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Town of Port Royal public hearing. Van?
Yeah, ordinance 2023-14, an ordinance annexing to the Town of Port Royal approximately 37.8 acres of real estate located in Beaufort County, described as Beaufort County Tax District 100, map 28, parcels 121A and 146. This is property located at 61 Brookins Path, and this is adjacent to Bridges Preparatory. It's a property that you see surrounded with the yellow up on the screen. Just real quickly, I'll cover the designation of zoning. They have requested T3 neighborhood zoning. Both the annexation and the requested zoning were unanimously recommended by the Metro Planning Commission. Both the annexation and the zoning requested are in compliance with the future growth boundary of the town, as well as the future land use map of the town and the comprehensive plan.
Thank you, Van. I'm going to open it up to public comment for both ordinance 2023-14 and 2023-15. They're both related. One's the annexation, one is the zoning for that same parcel of property. Is there any public comment? Hearing none, we'll close that public hearing and open the next.
All
Do
right.
you have a sign-up sheet going around?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. 2023-16, an ordinance to authorize the town manager to convey excess real property to facilitate development within the town described as Beaufort County Tax District 110, map 11, parcel 0095. This is property located at 1310 London Avenue. As we've discussed previously, it is a typical conveyance, other than the fact that we normally do 8-foot conveyances, and this one we did 10 because of the trees located on the property, looking for a little bit more flexibility to accommodate those trees on the property to ensure that we protect those.
Van, there's been conversations about the duck line pond and the brush line on the duck line
Right.
pond. That is on a different piece of property than what we're talking about here tonight?
Correct. And additionally, what you're seeing is a conceptual plan now. But obviously, the town owns the duck lines pond. And, we do periodically, scoop and clean that thing out. As a matter of fact, we're looking to install a separator system as it enters the pond to prevent that silting in so that we can preserve it for the birds that are using it now.
Very good. So I'll open this up to public comment. I'm going to ask a question. There's a number of forms that were filled out that marked agenda item. Do you want to speak now during the public hearing, or do you want to speak when we're going to later on? Because we're going to hear this same thing twice tonight. One is a public hearing, which is your opportunity to come and talk about it.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, that's why I just want to make sure everybody understands that. And then again, we're going to do it before we take a vote. This whole thing will come back up again. But during public hearing is the appropriate time, if anybody wants to talk about it, to go ahead and come on up and talk about it. And I can call your name, and you can come up now, or you can just come forward and start talking about this specific ordinance. I know it's a little bit, when we do them both in the same day, which we normally do on second readings, you have two opportunities to talk about the same.
Remember what I said?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We will all remember what you said.
There you go.
Okay. So anybody who has put in agenda item for this ordinance, I'll go ahead and let you come on up now. Please remember, 3 minutes. There's a clock on above my shoulder here that'll give you a timeline to talk about it. So, Elaine, you were right on time.
Hello, I'm Elaine Loria from 805 12th Street. I thank you, Council and Mayor, for your time, and special thanks, he's not here, but to Noah Krebs, who answered so many questions of mine. Now, those who know me understand that I can barely say good evening in under 3 minutes, so given my tendency to ramble, I will have to read my comments to you. They are in regard to the Duck Blind Pond area and to Ordinance 2023-16. I'm here to request that the ordinance not be adopted, and specifically that 10 feet of the 13th Street right-of-way not be conveyed. There are other issues for other residents, but tonight this is my focus. Such conveyance could prove detrimental to the pond, the wildlife, and birds. It would also be unfavorable for the residents surrounding the pond and would deprive locals and visitors passing by on 12th and Richmond of a wonderful view, one very similar to the Cypress wetlands, even if it's much smaller. While I appreciate that the town would be concerned and cautious during the planning process, eventually the developers, if given the conveyance, would have full rights to those trees and scrub that border the pond, including those on the other side of the now unpaved portion of 13th Street. That would mean they could at some point mow it all down. While I doubt the trees or shrubs are special species, they are invaluable because of their location. The copse along the pond is a natural habitat for the birds and wildlife that reside or move in and out regularly. The pond attracts all types of shorebirds, egrets, herons, woodstarks, cormorants, roseates, spoonbills, etc., who perch in those trees along with a variety of small birds. The pond also sees a large alligator who visits and suns along that tree border, while ducks and river otters come in and out seasonably and also at the mercy of that alligator. I am also sure there are many other critters that I don't see, and even more that I couldn't properly name, who live in and around those trees. The developers asked for, and I quote, breathing room, but I am hopeful that they can find it right within the boundaries of that large parcel of land that they own between London and Richmond Avenue. If so, then all the living beings and vegetation around the pond and within the surrounding area will continue to breathe undisturbed. Thank you all again, and good evening with seconds to spare.
Janet Roman, Janet?
I get nervous, so bear with me.
Nothing to be nervous about.
Okay. Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Janet Roman, and my husband and I reside at 811 12th Street, across the street from the Duck Blind Pond. 2.5 years ago, my husband and I decided to take a day trip to our home in Charleston in search of beach town south of Edisto, as we both love the water and the coastal wildlife. We came across Sands Beach in the town of Port Royal, and the moment we turned down Paris Avenue, we knew that we had found our new home, even though we weren't even looking for one. Port Royal reminded us of the small town we lived in along the Hudson River in New York. The water and the abundant wildlife simply took our breath away. After looking at several homes in the village, we chose to live on 12th Street because of its proximity to the pond, a home to a variety of birds, reptiles, mammals, and oh, that alligator, a beautiful oasis and paradise to our wildlife. Our concern now is the new development buffer proposed and the proximity to the pond and the surrounding landscape. According to the plans provided, we request that the proposed buffer be denied and a better and more logical streetscape be considered. Development and construction always disrupt nature. The new buffer should not be at the expense of the aviary and the wildlife that already considered the proposed buffer area home. To quote the words of singer-songwriter Joni Mitchell, "Don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you've got till it's gone? They pave paradise and put up a parking lot." Please ensure that you protect not only our paradise, but the wildlife that consider the proposed buffer area home. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I have one second. My neighbor who couldn't be here tonight, Ursula Workmeister from 802 11th Street, just wanted to add my voice to ask that the 13th Street connection between Richmond and London should be maintained by the town. The conveyance should not be given to a development company with its own agenda. We need to maintain control to protect the trees, birds, and wildlife. Once the right to this area is given away, the company cannot do what it desires. The company can do what it desires. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you. Any other public comment on 2023-16? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our October Town of Port Royal Council meeting. Our first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. Please, everybody, stand, face the flag for the pledge. Councilman Hayward, can you lead us?
Yes. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mayor Pro Tem, please.
Father, we thank you for this opportunity as we assemble before you to discuss the matters of our town that will be in the best interest of those whom we serve. We pray for peace across this country and in the world. We pray for Israel and the violence that's going on over there and those families that have lost loved ones. We thank you for the meeting, the business that will be conducted on tonight, that it will be pleasing in your sight. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you. Next item of business is approval of minutes. We have 3 sets of minutes in the packets we've received online. September 6th, public hearing, September 6th, council workshop, and council meeting of September 13th. What is the pleasure of council?
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes of September 6th from the public hearing, and then the council meeting of September the 6th, and the council meeting of September 12th.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any deletions, additions, corrections? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Presentations. Beaufort County EMS, welcome. Ms. Marshall, how are you?
I'm doing fine. Thank you so much. My name is Ginger Marshall. I'm a paramedic and public information officer with Beaufort County EMS. And I come to you tonight to speak to you about a program that the Beaufort County First Responders are partnering on this Christmas season. I've worked for the department, Beaufort County EMS, for 17 years. I've worked throughout the county, have had some great interactions with the first responders. They're very caring, very dedicated to the people that they serve. There's also agencies in the area that provide short-term assistance to a lot of the residents, including residents in Port Royal. And that's just short-term assistance is in food supply. There are several food banks, and lots of times, unfortunately, they run short around the Christmas holiday and into the new year. So we have partnered with the different agencies throughout the county to have our second annual Beaufort County First Responder Food Drive. We've got locations, as you can see on the flyer, throughout Beaufort County, and there are 2 donation locations, one with the police department and one at Station 3, which is right up the road. And what we're doing is we're collecting non-perishable items from now until the end of November, and everything that is collected will be split between Help of Beaufort and Bluffton Self-Help. Currently, each of those agencies are serving over 600 families or people per month, and one of the sets of data that I got from Bluffton Self-Help is that they are assisting families and serving 40,000 pounds of food so far. So there's definitely a need, and as we all know, with prices going up, inflation, there's a lot of food instability, insecurities with our residents and our people in Beaufort County. So I just wanted to bring this information to you and just request if you guys could assist us with social media presentations, any of your partners that you work with or agencies or committees that you're on, just get the word out. We would greatly appreciate it.
Do it.
Thank you.
We'll do it.
Does
Appreciate you bringing that to us.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions about the program or anything?
No, it's a good program.
All right.
Yep.
Thank you guys so much. Have a good
We're going to
evening.
get this on our Facebook
Sure,
page as well and get it in our newsletter a couple times. We've got enough times to repeat this.
Right, Tony?
Okay.
It'll be in there.
I know how to get a hold of him. So
That's good, that's good.
Thank
So
you.
get him any media you got. Thank you so much.
All right,
Appreciate you
thank you.
doing this. We also had for presentations, a presentation for Safe Harbor. Safe Harbor is not attending tonight's meeting, so we will move on to our council briefing. Anything more you need to add from last week?
No, I'll just mention that the county did approve the memorandum of understanding or agreement on the oak tree preservation efforts. Obviously, the town is participating through the ongoing maintenance and through the landscape contract once it's constructed. There will be some temporary fencing put up while they do all of the work to prepare for the construction of the park.
Very good. Council, any questions, Levan? Anything else you need updated?
Nope.
Everybody's good? Okay, at this point, I'm going to open it up to public comment for agenda items. So there may be somebody who wants to speak on another agenda item. We've heard on the one agenda item. But again, remember that you'll be addressing us as council, and the timer is up over my shoulder. So does anybody have anything for an agenda item that you haven't already had a chance to talk about on public hearing?
Trish.
So, Joe, Safe Harbor was on the agenda, so therefore it's an agenda item?
You know what, let's count them as, because it was on the agenda, let's count them as agenda items, and we'll take Safe Harbor at this point in time. I'm fine with that. I am fine with that. It's a little confusing, but I think that's the best way, because it was on the agenda. So, Trish, you came up first when I went through.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and council members. Tricia Fidrich, 1016 12th Street. It's deeply disappointing that Safe Harbor is not here with a presentation. Are you giving me extra time tonight?
Yes.
Yay. Yay. Safe Harbor's absence this evening is an opportunity lost, as it could have shared its progress and responded to concerns recently raised by some of Port Royal's citizens. As the master developer of the port, Safe Harbor could have addressed concerns about materials and processes used in boat repair, and especially how it may affect air quality, noise pollution, and water pollution. As master developer of the port, Safe Harbor could have addressed concerns about the Bluff development and the 230 rental units that are being planned to be built there. As master developer, Safe Harbor could have shared its timeline and its master plan. A master plan that shows the townspeople that even though the reality of Safe Harbor's development's plans appear to be a far cry from the charming and inviting redevelopment we all expected, that there is a plan that shows Safe Harbor is value added to this community. A plan that would reassure the many people who live here and who have recently purchased homes in this area in anticipation of a well-designed redevelopment that includes a marina, retail, restaurants, and single-family homes. A plan that would reassure business owners that Port Royal is the place to start or grow their businesses. Safe Harbor could have accomplished all this by using their seemingly impressive resources to develop a public relations plan that would increase communication and transparency. Instead, just a few days ago, or more recently than that, after almost 2 years of ownership and several articles in the paper about citizens' concerns, a row of no trespassing, private property, posted signs has been staked out along Safe Harbor's impressive and naturally beautiful property. Perhaps it's because of liability concerns, or perhaps it's because of other reasons. But the message conveyed by these signs is undeniable. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Quiet. Barbara Berry.
I'm Barbara Berry, 8th Street. I can't be as eloquent as the last speaker, but I can be sad. In 2007, my sister, who's lived here for decades, told me about the port being bought and all the development that was coming. Prices went up. Great, nothing happened. Then I moved down here, and I had a house by the duck blind. 13th Street, Miss Daisy told me clearly that street belonged to her. Council had given it to her. I hope y'all don't give it to the next developer. But anyhow, now I live by an industrial zone where I wake up in the morning to the pounding of those big old cement blocks and the dust on the far end. On this end, we have the cranes and all that site. What happened to the dream? What happened to what we thought was going to come here? Because it's not coming. And as was stated, the signs are everywhere. My friend was up on not on the bluff, on the road by the bluff, looking at the sunset the other night, and a black SUV drove up and said, "You have to leave." Now I want to find out, do the streets belong to the city of Port Royal? Can I be on the street and look at the sunset? Can I walk down 6th Street? Does it belong to the developers, or does it belong to the city of Port Royal? I really want to know that. They put up locks at the end of London. They closed access off. We're a walking community. Everyone loves to walk around here, and we can't do it. This is not what I never dreamed I would live by an industrial zone, and that's where I live. So I sure hope something turns around, because I'm just incredibly sad and disappointed. It's just unbelievable.
Thank you. That's all I have for public comment on agenda items. We'll move to first readings. On an agenda item? Well, come on up. Sorry if I thought I went through all these.
Well, good evening, Council. My name is Gail Tramontano. I live at 1516 Old Shell Road, and 3 minutes would never be enough for me. So I have basically gone with a visual for the board, and I hope the council reviews it. They are a picture's worth 1,000 words. Well, here's 4 pictures of the current port that was taken this morning, and here's 16 pictures of what the port could become. You know, it would take some time and effort on the council's part. It wouldn't be done overnight. It would take close monitoring, which I don't feel we're getting now with Safe Harbor. They're not open to the public and not open to the board. And when I speak to the board, the council members, you don't get information. We want to know. You know, we want to know what's going on with Safe Harbor development. It's going to define the community. It's going to define our property values. We're all taxpayers here. We're all concerned about the aesthetics of the community. Few people get up and talk about this, but in reality, there's a lot more concern that's being expressed. So I came forward, and I don't like speaking in front of people, but I'm here. You know, I think that transparency to all builds trust, but secrecy breeds contempt. And I think that's a very important issue right now to be addressed, you know, and who knows what's going to happen in the development and the redevelopment and changes in it and violations of it. We all should have public knowledge of what's going on. It is our community. We want to know, you know, and I really feel as though the council should be on top of it and holding Safe Harbor accountable for what they're doing and which direction it's going in. So with your permission, council, thank you for listening. I'd like to give you these visuals for your private session to pass around because I did some research on Harbor.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Is Tina Kelly in the room? You didn't come up during public hearing? Do you want to come now?
Well,
It's okay, come on up now.
mine's short and sweet. But
Okay, come on up now.
Hi, I'm Tina Kelly, Ford Duck Line. I can't add anything new that all the eloquent speakers before me said. I share the same concerns. We do have some wetlands that are at the duck line. I live at Ford Duck Line. I'm the most immediately affected to the new development. I hope you will take into concern and consideration that the conveyance to that road is detrimental to the wetlands as they are. I just hope you'll consider that, and to all the people who live in that area. Thank you.
Thank you. Then, first readings.
1 second.
Sorry,
Very quick.
caught you drinking.
That didn't sound right.
Caught you having a sip of water.
There you go. That's better. Yeah, let's pull that up real quick. All right, first readings, ordinance 2023-17. An ordinance to authorize the town manager to convey excess real property to facilitate construction of sidewalks within town, described as Beaufort County Tax District 110, map 10, parcels 0103. This is property located at 1102 13th Street. You do have a map in your packets. What you see depicted on the screen is the location of the sidewalk. It is in compliance with the sidewalk construction program. This is property located at 13th and Madrid.
Thank you. Council, questions?
Nothing since last
Good?
week.
Okay. What's the pleasure of council?
Move that we approve for first reading 2023-17.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Next, 2023-18.
Yes, an ordinance to authorize town manager to convey access to a property to facilitate construction of sidewalks within the town, described as Beaufort County Tax District 110, map 10, parcel 0155. This is property located at 1210 Madrid Avenue, also adjacent to the 13th Street area. It is in compliance with the sidewalk construction program.
Once again, any questions for the staff?
We love sidewalks.
We love sidewalks. What's the pleasure of council?
I move that we approve 2023-18.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
2023-19.
Yeah, and this is the ordinance that we had initially just had entitled only in the workshop agenda. This has been fleshed out a little bit. An ordinance to authorize town manager to convey access to a property to facilitate construction of sidewalks within the town described as Beaufort County Tax District 110, map 11, parcel 0045. This is located at 907 10th Street. This is filling gap. So that's why it's short in nature. Obviously, it's compliance with the sidewalk construction program because of the filling that hole.
So it's filling the gap between two. Council, questions for staff? We didn't get to talk about this one because it was title only. We're all good. What's the pleasure of council?
I make a motion, we adopt 2023-19.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye, it's unanimous. Second readings, 2023-14.
Yeah, an ordinance annexing to the town of Port Royal approximately 37.8 acres of real estate located in Beaufort County, described as Beaufort County Tax District 100, map 28, parcels 121A and 146. This is at 61 Brookins Path, adjacent to Bridges Prep. We discussed this in the public hearing. It is in compliance with the future growth boundary of the town and was recommended by the Metro Planning Commission.
Pleasure of council. We've had a first reading, public hearing. This is second reading. What's the pleasure of council?
I wish to recuse myself from this vote.
Very good.
I make a motion, we adopt 2023-14.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. 2023-15.
Yeah, it's an ordinance to zone approximately 37.8 acres of real estate located in Beaufort County, described as Beaufort County Tax District 100, map 28, parcels 121A and 146 in Beaufort County, South Carolina, to be zoned as T3 neighborhood. This request by the applicant was unanimously recommended by the Metro Planning Commission. It does comply with the future land use map as well as the comprehensive plan of the town.
Thank you. Once again, we've had first reading and public hearing. I will take a moment to remind everybody the reason we do these separately. We have a lot of people in the room. Some have not seen this before. We do these separately because we cannot apply zoning to property that is not in our town limits. So first we have to annex the property and then we immediately zone the property. So that's why they're handled under two separate ordinances and motions. With that being said, what's the pleasure, council?
I wish to
Hold
recuse
it.
myself from 2023-15.
Thank you.
And yeah, just to follow up on that, that was a good point for those that haven't seen this before. The property that we're talking about, because it is a large partial, it is for the school to build athletic facilities. So it's a good thing. Just when people see, 37.8 acres, that's what it is. It's athletic facilities for the public school up there, or the charter school up there.
Charter school.
Charter.
What's the pleasure, council?
I make a motion, we adopt ordinance 2023-15.
15.
I had my eyes done last week and I still can't see real good.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Thank you. 2023-16.
And an ordinance to authorize the town manager to convey access for property to facilitate development within the town described as Beaufort County Tax District 110, map 11, parcel 0095. This is property located at 1310 London Avenue. This would be a conveyance of the sidewalk for the potential redevelopment of the property located adjacent to it. Typical is an 8-foot conveyance. When we do that, there is a request for 10 feet to add some additional flexibility. Just for note, the right-of-way between that parcel and the duck blinds area, the 13th Street right-of-way is 66 feet wide, just so keep that in mind.
Very good. Noah's not here, and I guess there's some questions.
You just noticed that?
I was just
No,
looking.
I'm just making a statement, it's an out-loud statement. Do we have anything that is an actual survey to show where this is rather than a conceptual? Should we wait for Noah, and should we do a month postponement on this?
Well, I mean, what you're asking is a design question,
I know.
and this is a sidewalk conveyance question. In terms of what is being conveyed, it is a typical conveyance. There is an additional 2 foot. We've done it before, but it is an adjacent to the duck lines wetland. You know, traditionally that drive abutted Mr. Deloach's property. You know, in the immediate sheds, the property that you see south of it is the ditch area. I was involved. It was one of the first things I was involved with when I got here was the piping between that wetland to the duck lines, and it was court ordered because Mr. Deloach sued the town. But that 13th Street is a town-owned right-of-way. It was not conveyed or given to anybody. It's not owned by anybody but the town. So that's why you're here conveying 10 feet of the 66-foot right-of-way. So basically, by the edge of the property, there's conveyance of 10 feet, and then the balance of that right-of-way is 56 feet, which separates it from the property boundary of the duck line portion.
So then what we're saying there is the red dotted line
Right.
on this is the existing property line.
Right, and I'm just gonna kind of zoom in a little bit. And I don't know if you can really see it here, but I
Yep.
went ahead and pulled the parcel up. And so what you see from red line to red line is basically that right-of-way, okay? And so the conveyance would be off of that line. Now, this is inexact because it is GIS, and so they give you that disclaimer. So right now, you'd be talking 10 feet off of the red line going towards the duck lines. It would be conveyed and set aside for the construction of the sidewalk. And basically,
Please,
Yes.
please,
yes.
give us
That's the
a
right
minute
of way.
here.
Red line to red line is the right of way. Okay? That's the way it is. And I'm not saying it's perfectly exact, but what they're talking about is an additional 10 feet that would expand this red line to there. And then within that additional 10 feet, the sidewalk would have to be constructed. Yeah. This is the county GIS, it's the property records. I'll zoom in a little bit closer.
Right, that could easily be off by a good bit.
Right, it could be off
By up
in
to
either
like-
direction.
by
But
up
what
to
you
like
see
30
right there,
feet.
that's the duck line pond, right there, within that right of way. But obviously, the town owns the duck line pond and the right of way. And we took ownership of the duck line pond because it fallen into disrepair, 15 years ago? We tied it all into the Cypress system, which has outfalls that connect all the way from the big, large wetland and connects and runs all the way through here. And this has that wetland has an outfall, I believe, and this one also has an outfall that extends down 13th Street. So, what you could do, I mean, if you want to table it for further discussion, that's certainly an option.
I guess where I am with this right now is not tabling it, but postponing it until we can have a survey of the 13th Street right-of-way. So that we can see exactly where the 13th Street right-of-way falls in relationship of the two ponds, the trees, the brush, and know exactly what it is, where that 10 feet is gonna fall. That's where my head is at the moment. And so council,
If we voted tonight, I'd have to vote against
well,
it.
right, I don't have enough information at this point. That's,
But we
I
can get it,
mean-
we can get that right away survey.
yeah, I think we don't have that, there's nothing yet in front of us that shows where that 66 feet is. or 60 feet is.
Yeah, because like I said, this is an approximation.
Yeah.
This is inexact. I mean, there's a disclaimer on the GIS that tells you,
Yeah.
hey,
30 feet.
yeah.
They can be off up to 30 feet. So
Right.
until I know where that right-of-way is, I'm not comfortable. I'm not comfortable.
Well, I just think we had so much trouble with the drainage messing with all that, and I can't.
And I don't know if we
I
have the
can't go,
applicant here.
I can't go either way. Is the applicant here? Nope. I can't, I mean, I don't think I have enough information to vote either way at this point, hearing everything. So, council, what's the pleasure of council?
If you want to get the survey.
I want to get the survey.
Will we make the motion?
You want to make a
No,
motion?
you make it since, I mean, it's your idea.
Then to make it official, I'll pass the gavel. You run the meeting so I can make a motion.
Okay.
Ask for a motion.
We are on ordinance 2023-16.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. I'd like to entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we postpone 2023-16 until we get a survey of the 13th Street right-of-way, including flagged on the ground to show us where the right-of-way is.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, motion made by Mayor Joe DeVito, second by Councilman Kevin Phillips. Any discussion?
No, I think he's making a good point, just to get more info on it, so. I hate that Noah's not here.
Okay. All in favor of the motion, let it be known by aye.
Aye.
Unanimous.
Thank you, sir. I think it's the first time I've touched the gavel in 4 years. Okay, next item of business is council actions. Make a quick statement for that. Last week during our executive session, we failed to discuss this. We were busy on something else, on Safe Harbor, and had a lot of conversations, and we ended without discussing the personnel matter of appointments. I would entertain a motion to move this till after tonight's executive session. So we'll go into executive session tonight, that's already on the
Back out.
agenda. We'll go ahead and discuss this, come out and vote on this.
Okay, so we will vote on it
We will
tonight.
vote on it tonight, but we have to move, we have to change the
Discuss it
agenda,
on the-
so there needs to be a motion to change the agenda to move this till after
Okay,
executive
as long as
session.
we're voting on it tonight.
We are voting on it tonight.
It's been a while.
Yep,
Definitely, it's been a while.
so will the council member
I'll
make
make a
them?
motion to postpone 2023-16.
Nope,
No, wait a
nope.
minute, wait a minute.
Council
I'm so
action
sorry.
item. Council
Like I
action.
said, I better get these glasses
You gotta get
on.
your glasses back on.
Council action on appointments.
We're gonna do, yes, council action on appointment for the redevelopment commission. We will go into executive session, discuss it, come back out and make that appointment tonight.
Very good.
I'll second
We have a
that.
motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Memorandum of understanding.
Yeah, this is between the town of Port Royal and the Low Country Council of Governments. This is for the Northern Beaufort County Transit Study. The town is being asked to participate via a portion of the match, which is for a $250,000 grant. The town is being asked to provide $12,500, as is the city of Beaufort, and with Beaufort County providing $25,000.
Very good. And you stated last week, budget's good, it's in the budget, not an
Right.
issue. Very good. What's the pleasure of council?
Move that we approve the memorandum of understanding between the town of Port Royal and the Low Country Council of Government.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Can you second?
Yeah, dude.
Mary Beth, second.
You're on the board.
Oh, yeah.
You're on the board. Recuse yourself for a minute. Kevin, can I have a
Okay,
second,
I'm
please?
recusing.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
I represent you.
You
I'm
recuse.
studying.
It's still, it's a gray line. It's good.
Yeah, okay.
We're passing it anyway.
They
It's a
say the
gray
only
line.
gray line is the one when you have to second guess yourself.
Yeah. Important dates.
Tuesday, October 17th, from 4:30 to hopefully 5:30 PM is the redevelopment commission meeting. Monday, October 23rd, is the municipal election commission meeting at 5:30 PM. And then Sunday, October 29th, is the
Trunk or
trunk or treat from 3 to 5 PM. And I did want to mention that the gateway signs are up. So
Yes.
if you
I
know
saw
coming in and
those.
out of town, they're
We'll get some photos of them, Tony, tomorrow on the Facebook page and the gateway signs.
Sure. And that's all I've got, unless y'all got something y'all want to add.
Anybody have any dates they'd like to add, get out there? Obviously, we've got the food drive we just heard about earlier, going to the end of November. So we'll keep that on, we'll add that to next month's important dates as well.
Just say
Go.
something about important dates, because sometimes we miss things, but if there's ever anything in the community, like a business opening that you know of, that's local, or any event, anybody having an event that we missed, please bring that to our attention, because we can shoot that over to our social media guys and push that out. So if we miss it here at the meeting, but you know, like I said, you know of something coming up, let us know.
One important date that I think you all missed has been a very important political arena in the past years, and that is when I was on council of the town, made October 15th, John Parker Day. And so I wanted to inform you when I get up there that they are planning a celebration Saturday for that date. Excuse my voice.
What time, Sam?
Starting at noon.
John Parker Day?
So,
We don't miss that.
Yeah, it's been an important political day.
It is.
And just so y'all remember, we do underwrite the cost of that.
right, yep.
But we did
Thank
need
you.
to put
Yes.
that on
We need to
the,
get that on here.
so people will know, put it on the website.
Very
Is it-
good.
Definitely want to highlight.
This Saturday?
Saturday,
14th, okay.
14th,
Official
the
days are typically.
proclamation is the 15th, John Parker Day, made that proclamation.
Okay.
Yeah, we do it, we try to catch it all, but you know, grand openings, events, parties, you know, just let us know so we can push it out and do everything we can to promote it.
That's a very important day because he was actually, Mr. Parker was over our Bulldogs, Georgia Bulldogs, as we say. Sammy, no, actually it was the Bulldogs for Port Royal. So, but it is a very important date because he was very instrumental in our Parks and Rec.
Very good. At this point, I'll open it up to public comment for non-agenda items. Once again, please address council. Timer's up over my shoulder. And first one I have is Karen Sarantorio? Santori?
So, all right. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening. Mayor, I spoke with you informally back on August 9th about requesting a new stop sign on Madrid in the intersection of 12th. And this evening, I'd just like to go on record and make a formal request to you and Council for the new stop sign. When vehicle turns southbound onto Madrid from Paris Ave West, there's a stop sign at 16th, at 14th, we skip 12th, then we get to 11th with another stop sign. And we talk that's intentionally done to control the traffic to and from Fish Camp, which is necessary. Absolutely. So, but we have a problem with speeding on Madrid, and that missing sequence of stop signs at the intersection of 12th creates the opportunity for cars to build speed from 14th to 11th in both directions, which is more frequently taken advantage of than you would think. It's a short dragway, but it gets some speed. So I would say daily, if not several times a day in our neighborhood, myself and fellow neighbors included, watch drivers speed down that section with just blatant disregard for the community members. And I think we're partially enabling this problem by not having that traffic device at that intersection. I think it makes good sense. And most importantly, I think it's important to talk about this now and proactively request the stop sign there instead of having to stand back up here and make the request subsequent to a vehicle pedestrian accident.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a wonderfully active community. We have children playing out in that area. I don't want to discourage that ever. We have folks riding bikes, walking dogs, and the safety is so important. So I just ask that you help me make this little stretch of Madrid and this intersection safer for our neighborhood. So thank you for listening.
Thank you. Van, this request fits into what we did 2 years ago with giving you the authority to add stop signs, so you'll get with the chief on this?
Yeah, I'll give it to the chief and talk to Michael about it and what
Okay.
we need to do.
Because
prior to
you
the
have
installation,
authority
you
now
have
to
sign
add
it.
stop signs. And while we're on that, sorry, I didn't mean to hit the mic. Where are we on the new speed limit signs?
Yeah.
We're waiting for the speed limit signs to come in?
We're ordering them, that's, yes.
Okay. Scott Clark?
Before I get going, I want to, don't start my clock yet. I've got another important date. October 17th is my 36th wedding anniversary.
Oh, okay. October what?
17th.
Okay, so if we're doing wedding anniversary, tomorrow is my 39th.
Okay. You got me beat. Okay, good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Scott Clark. I'm the president of the Friends of Port Royal Cypress Wetlands. Also have with me today Kat Bray, who is of the Village People.
You go for it.
The Friends are trying to bring awareness and educate the community and visitors on the importance of maintaining a clean cypress wetlands. So we have commissioned Kathy Pender-Emmert to design and build a sculpture that will be used to promote everyone's duty to keep the wetlands free of trash and debris. Kathy is a metal artist and has created a wonderful sculpture that will be stuffed with trash that was collected from the wetlands and surrounding area. Now I've brought with me the artist, Kathy Pender-Emmert, to say a few words about the sculpture.
Good evening. How are y'all doing?
Good. How are you, Kathy?
I'm not normally a public speaker. So yes, this has been a long time in the making, but I was excited to take on the challenge. It'll be the first animal I've ever done, the first 3D thing I've ever done, and the biggest thing I've ever done. It's a life-size 7.5-foot alligator made with 3/8 rebar that is hand bent, each piece welded in and fitted. The little bumps down his back are made out of 2 different sizes of chain. His teeth are made out of bicycle chain so that I could make them at different lengths and that they weren't sharpened. And his legs are made out of really big chain, about 3/4 inch chain. It came from Siegel Market. Leighton Reeves donated the chain to me. So.
We look forward to seeing it.
It's fantastic.
Cool.
So when are we doing this?
So on behalf of the Friends of Port Royal Cypress Wetlands
Somebody get me
and
to write
Kathy and Kat, I would like to invite the mayor, council, and staff to attend the short unveiling of the sculpture. The general public is also welcome to attend and encouraged to attend. The event is going to be on Thursday, November 2nd at 5:30 p.m. at the amphitheater. The sculpture will be placed just to the south, away from the fire department of the amphitheater.
What time?
5:30 p.m. on November 2nd.
Design and review board meeting that day,
Okay.
Do we?
That's okay.
What's that?
Somebody said there may be a design review board, but we can overlap that one. Get our meeting notices on that one, Lisa Forrest? Thank you.
All right.
Kathy, good to see you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
And
Kathy.
you're fine in public. David Stillwell.
I missed you guys last week. Genuinely, it was kind of sad to me. I did want to say, please do be praying for Praise Assembly. They did lose their dear pastor. He was here a month or 2 ago, Pastor Jamie. We miss him dearly, and that was just within a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. So be praying for Praise Assembly here. It's in the town of Port Royal. I did want to come again. It's kind of on the cuff this evening, but at this point we're old friends, and I do consider all of you that. And I do want to say I saw a shirt the other day, and I don't know what anybody meant by the shirt. People mean a million things by every single word these days, but it said, "Keep Port Royal weird." And I thought to myself, I've seen that before. I grew up in the hills and hollers of North Carolina, up in near Hendersonville and Asheville, in Morganton, North Carolina is where my family is. And I only seen one place in my life that said keep somewhere weird, and that was Asheville. Well, let me tell you what doesn't happen when I was growing up in Asheville. There's not a lot of kids downtown, because when I was growing up, basically it was drug abuse in the streets, homeless, Topless women, totally acceptable downtown Asheville. You can do that. You don't need a bra, you don't need a shirt, don't need nothing. Come, no deodorant, no clothes. It's all good in downtown Asheville. So when I saw Keep Port Royal weird, and the only thing I've ever seen is Keep Asheville weird, and I grew up seeing that with seances in the street and people flailing and convulsing in public places. I thought to myself, I need to mention, it's in our power to make Port Royal what it's going to be. Do we want it to be like Charleston? Do we want it to be like Asheville? Do we want it to be like Greenville? So many places it could be, that could be like. So I want you all to know I pray for you all the time, every single morning, every single one of you, that with boldness and with goodness in your heart for this town, which I believe all of you have, that we move forward with making this town what it can be and keep it from what it could become. So thank y'all.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Excuse my voice. Good afternoon, Mayor, council members. Samuel Smalls, 1503 Robinson Street. I really came to say thank you. Thank you, the contractor that started the fence that stands between on Casablanca Street and the basketball court, a new fence that you all have put up to stop the ball running into the streets and consequently the kids. When I conversed with him this morning during my wife and I will be walking in the community, I asked him, and this is in conjunction with Saturday, John Parker Day, if he knew any contractors, any tree contractors, because still yet there's a tree on the park that's like 3 feet from the sidewalk that when my wife and we walk, it's only one of us can pass on the sidewalk. And the trees, when I served on your Parks and Recreation Committee, we spent somewhere between $25,000 and $30,000 to get that park in line with Royal Oaks. And there's another tree over there, a big old tree. The limbs sit on the roof, the metal roofing. That tree is live. That roof is made of materials. That tree is going to win that battle and tear that metal up. And that's a waste of money. But there are trees, there are limbs from that same tree. As any one of you come to the park Saturday, you see about a couple of tree limbs there about 3 feet off the ground. So that could be a hindrance. Again, thank you. And if you want to talk anniversaries, when the storm came through in August, my wife and we had plans in another state, reservations. We were going to celebrate our 49th honeymoon, not anniversary. And so we canceled. I said that to say the storm came, it left. We have pre-hurricane preparation, but believe you me, in our community, I don't know about the rest of you that are behind me and you all, but the debris from the storm just got picked up yesterday. Thank you, Councilman Phillips, for coming in the community, spending time seeing the problem and then addressing it, and it just got picked up yesterday. Houston, we got a problem. We don't have a post-hurricane. I know you all may have contractors working with you that could help with a major hurricane, but the debris in our area just got picked up yesterday. Thank you.
And I know that we finished the Live Oaks Park, trim up trees. We're working on the Naval Heritage Park. And after that, can we move around to John Parker and see if those need to be pushed up?
Sure.
Because I know right now you got Naval Heritage is the next one they're doing, right?
Yes.
Right, the Naval Heritage is the next one. Again, like we did at Live Oaks, trim all the trees up. So when they finish that, let's see if we can't move around to John Parker as well.
Can I say one thing?
Right up.
Not about the trees, but Van, I meant to tell you this afternoon coming home when I was talking to you earlier, when I was at that meeting today, we were talking about, you know, the roadblocks, and I mean, not roadblocks, but the slow down traffic devices that we put out. And I was told maybe if we called the highway commissioner, that we would get a faster response than sending a letter or whatever. And I just wondered.
We've submitted encroachment permits with the DOT and are working with them already.
Yeah, okay, I just heard this today, and I wanted to make sure you knew that was a
I
possibility.
had an email conversation this morning with Shannon Erickson.
Oh, well, good. So
Yep.
we're all on the same line.
Yep. All right. Anybody else?
This wasn't pre-thought or anything, but this gentleman talked about fences and safety. My name's Colleen Johnson, and thank you, Mayor and Council, for hearing me. I've been starting to walk, and I walk around the wetlands, and I love it. And the other day, I followed a dad and a couple toddlers walking around, not on the board side, but the natural side. And Dad was really busy with a real little one, and other ones were getting pretty close now that it's cut back to the water. And just the day before, there was a big alligator right where that kid was. My concern is, we're putting up fences. What would it be to just put up wire or anything to keep a kid from wandering into that?
Scott?
I think after this meeting is over, having a conversation with Scott,
Okay.
who is the president of
Okay, I didn't know
the
if
Friends of the Cypress
all you
Wetland.
or the
Great
council.
conversation to have with them.
Yeah.
They're the right people to
I
start.
don't want to lose any kids to
No,
alligator.
we don't
bait.
either. We don't either.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Don't feed the alligators.
I'm not signed up, but I have to, in reference to what she was just talking about with the alligators and all. I had an issue.
Scott, start with your name and address.
I'm sorry, I'm Steve Jones. I live on, at 1007 12th Street, Port Royal. And I had a situation walking my dog where I encountered an alligator on Madrid Avenue, right by the Kirkland house, in between the sidewalk and the fence. And I didn't see it. My dog alerted to it. And I called Port Royal Police Department, not 911. I called just regular number and told them to see if they could relocate this alligator away from where people were. And I was told, no, they don't relocate alligators. They're federally protected species. They don't do it. And then they put me through to DNR, who told me the same thing. They don't move alligators. I'm trying to explain to them, this is presenting a danger. If a child walked by there, it could grab a hold of their leg. It wasn't a 6-foot gator. I'm telling them it's like 3 foot, 4 foot, but it's enough that it could damage a dog, a child. They wouldn't do anything either. So I just finally had to, not necessarily threaten them, but just advise them that having spent 30 years as an insurance claims adjuster, I was going to make sure that everybody in that neighborhood knew that they'd been put on notice, so that if it attacked anybody or bit anybody, then they're going to be financially liable for any damages. Of course, I got a phone call just a few minutes later from a game warden who happened to be on the bridge who was coming down there. So I basically had to threaten someone to get any action. I don't understand. This was presenting a danger, and I was treated pretty brutally by the Port Royal Police Department. It was just, we don't do that, and that's it, an end of discussion. And even when I explained to them that last time I checked, as a human being, I was a federally protected species too, as was anyone else in this community, but nobody wanted to hear that. So I think we need to look at some things. If we're going to have alligators in the area, then we need to have a method by which the citizens can be protected. Since that happened, we actually did have some alligator attacks over in Bluffton and Hilton Head that resulted in fatalities. So it's not a joking or funny matter. It's not something that should just be totally ignored. It's something that we need to look at and figure out a way that if the gators are going to stay there, the way they can be protected and we can be protected at the same time.
Thank you.
So that's one thing I'll find.
Thank you. Anybody else? If not, I'll entertain. Stephen, come on forward.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. I guess I'd like to start. I'm Stephen Loderick, Edinburgh Avenue. I'm disappointed to hear Safe Harbor's not here tonight. Did anybody hear from him? And did anybody talk to him? So there was no direct conversation with him? Everybody, I showed up, and they're not here. Yeah. I will add that to my list of disappointments about this global organization. I arrived here going on almost 6 years now. I've waited, and I've waited for something to happen to this beautiful thing called the Bluff, the end of our road. I'm still waiting. What I heard from them in August was disappointing. Very disappointing to a point of insulting. I don't think anyone I heard from truly appreciates what that land is about. Its history, its ability to be converted into beautiful, beautiful properties, not 300 of them. Beautiful properties on its grading, giving more of the properties a view of something across the way that changes men and women's lives, okay? There's enough of them out there. It's not affected by economies. Those properties would sell by purely marketing them to those people whose lives changed across the way, okay? Don't really need to look any further than that. So I'm gonna end this simply by pointing out a couple things in the PUD that I find very interesting. Public roads. All roads outside the property that serve the property are under the jurisdiction of the town of Port Royal regarding access, construction improvements, and maintenance. And then one other one, the property shall be served by direct access to the existing roads and proposed roads. All right? They're not living up to this. They're not living up to their bargain. I'm very, very disappointed. And I think that the town needs to look hard at what access are we really wanting them to have. They put posted signs up now along their property. We're not welcome, okay? I'm not sure I want them soaring down my street. 300 homes times 4 probably vehicles each, right? We have power in this agreement, and I think we have power in those 2 sentences. And I would just simply say, let's start waking up to what sort of a global organization and how backwards they really truly have been. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? We're going to go to council comments at this point in time, and I'm going to start because there is a lot of conversations about Safe Harbor going on, and I want to put some facts, real facts, on the table so that everybody understands. Who we heard from about a development was the beach company. They own nothing on that property. They own nothing at this point in time. There is no permit with this town to build anything by the beach company at this point in time. They are doing what I would call fishing. They're talking about what they're thinking about building. And we voiced our opinion very loudly to them about what they proposed. Now we have to wait and see what they come back with. It's the same as any other development, any other projects. We told them we didn't like it, they'll come back with something else. If we don't like that, we're going to tell them again we don't like that. So we're going to keep that process going. No trespassing signs are disappointing to this entire council. None of us knew about it. We found out the same time everybody else found out by an email to us saying the signs were going up. Many years ago, sitting at this spot right here, you looked at me and said, please, please remember to protect people's property rights. They own the property. It's their right to say it's now private property. If they can decide tomorrow to fence the whole thing off and never develop it at all. Are we gonna be happy about that? No. Are we gonna push back? Yes. Absolutely yes. Are we questioning why the trespassing signs went up? Yes. Are they here tonight? No. Why are they not here? Well, that becomes an issue. The question Stephen just asked, is anybody talking to them? Well, when I talk to them, I get accused of having private meetings. So do you want me to talk to them, or do you not want me to talk to them? Because I can pick up the phone and make a call. I can do that. I can't do that with the entire council because it's a meeting. When we ask them to come to the meeting, they present. We heard it at the same time you did. No private conversations, nothing going on behind the scenes. I can call them tomorrow and I can ask them, why are there no trespassing signs there? Kind of sounds like that's what you want me to do. It's not a private meeting, it's a phone call. I have no authority to get them to do anything. This council votes on what's done. And this council has voted unanimously on everything that we have voted on for Safe Harbor. There's nothing before us to vote on. They're fishing. And I hope they're listening to what's being said. You get a lot more done with developers. I've been working developers for over 25 years. We get a lot more done with conversation than we ever do with letters from lawyers. Because once we do that, then it's only the lawyers in the room that are going to talk. We're not done. This council's not done. The development's not starting. Van, are there any permits to construct anything on the Safe Harbor property?
No.
None. And the moment they file a permit to construct, that's when the DA and the PUD allows us to step in and say what's being done. Up to that moment, it's just conversation. You asked us to do that publicly, so we asked them to come and present in front of us. All of us, instead of presenting to just the staff in August. We all heard the same thing at the same time. We all hated it. We all hated it. We haven't heard a word since. So does that mean they're through the whole thing out and starting all over to figure it out? We're asking questions, but I stopped because I'm being accused of having private meetings. So now Van's asking all the questions. And when he gets answers, we'll go into the executive session and he'll tell us what those answers are. This development is one of the most important developments to the town of Port Royal. And I have been involved with it since the day we asked the state to sell the property. I was the chairman of your planning commission back then. And I have been following this and invested in this all the way through. This council, Maribet's been here since day one on this as well and has fought to get this done. Sam Murray drove at 70-some odd years old up to Charleston to make sure that things happened the way they needed to happen. I know everybody's disappointed. I know this council is disappointed. But we're not done. We just started, okay? Cranes are the most annoying thing. If they start building tomorrow, you will see cranes for 10 years. That's how long it's going to take to build the marina development between the terminal and the other side. These cranes aren't going away tomorrow, even if we tell them to get moving on this. The cranes are going to be here for a long time. And at the end, we're going to see something we hope really meets what was in that PUD and that development agreement that this town sat and did 20 years ago. I think we're coming up to the 20th anniversary for the first DA.
Well, the first redevelopment conceptual plan was done in 2004 with design plan.
So we're coming up to 20 years about trying to find somebody to do the right thing on this property. 17 years to get them to sell it, for somebody to buy it. Then we had a period of time that somebody owned it and did nothing. Now we've got somebody who's had it just 2 years. They've invested more money in it than anybody else in that 2-year period of time. But just to take things down, not to build anything up. We have a long, long way to go. This town has to stay united. I think they clearly heard we are united, that what they presented does not meet the fabric of Port Royal, to use the exact words that were given to us that night. It does not meet the fabric of Port Royal. But the right way to do this is to get them to keep having the conversations. And when I talk about those conversations, let's go back to the park swap. The park swap had been talked about 3 years before Safe Harbor bought it. The park swap was being talked about. A year and a half into Safe Harbor buying it, the park swap still hadn't gotten done, but everybody agreed it would get done. So I got involved. And I asked what was holding up the park swap. Found out who the right person was to talk to, made the phone call, expressed how important it was to you as a community to get that park swap. That park swap got done, and we did not have to pay for it. Because up till that phone call, we were on the hook, Van, $195,000, I think, $195,000? Close to $195,000 to make that swap happen. But just by a conversation, not a private meeting, because this council had to vote on the park swap. I didn't get to make it happen. I only got them to come to the table to say, is this what you want to do? And this council voted unanimously to swap that property. That can happen again if we want it to happen again. If you can understand and believe that nobody on this council is having private meetings or making deals. Not me, not Kevin, not Mary Beth, not Jerry, not Mayor Pro Tem Darrell. All we're doing is talking to people to express what you want and trying to bring them to the table to talk to us. We can get a lot more done around that conference room in that room than we can ever get done asking them to present here in front of us. And then once we get it organized, then bring it to you and make sure that we vote on what you want. You'll get to respond to it, you'll get to answer to it, and then this council will vote on it. I'll end with, and I'll let any other council member add anything they want to this. Safe Harbor ain't seen nothing yet from the town of Port Royal and the town of Port Royal Council. But we have to be very cautious about the way we approach them. We need them to work with us. We don't need adversary. And adversaries start when you put two lawyers across the table. We need them to work with us. And that is what we will do, and we'll keep going. If it comes the point to do something legal, this council's not afraid to do the legal action. I guarantee you. And if you want to look at that, go back in history and take a look at what's going on in Burton for 22 years. We're not afraid for the legal action. But we'll pull that trigger when it's the right moment in time. And that could be tomorrow. I don't know. But we'll do it when it's right to make that happen. I've sat quietly up here for a number of months, not willing to kind of put it all out there, because I believed that everybody understood what we were doing. Over the last couple of weeks and what I've heard, and maybe this has to do with what's coming up next month, I don't know, I realized that people didn't fully understand. So it was time for me to make the comment, and I made the comment. And it's public comment, it's comments now for any council member.
I guess I'll chime in quickly. I could not have said it any more eloquently. We have heard your concerns, we've listened to you, and we echo and share those same concerns. So without being redundant, in fact, as you see on the agenda, we're going into executive session again to discuss this development. So your cries are not being unheard or neglected, but we have to operate within the confines of the law. They are property owners, as you are property owners. Our job is to ensure that they operate in accordance with the PUD and the DA. So with that being said, we hear you. And on the last note because this, I may not get to say anything again, next year we will be celebrating 150 years of Port Royal's establishment into existence. And a person that's driving this also, that's going to be forcing, that's going to that's putting together this celebration that we're having, the director of the Historic Port Royal Foundation, Pam Courtney. We want to say happy birthday to Pam, who celebrated her
She's
birthday.
in the room. Yes,
yesterday.
Pam. Now that's an important date.
Okay. So happy birthday, Pam, and thank you for what you're doing. That's it.
Well, thank you. We're important, we think. You know, I'm going to echo what the mayor and Mayor Pro Tem have said. This is our community. We love our community. We're going to fight till the last straw is drawn with us. Back years and years ago, and I've been on this council a long time, and I feel like I've made progress on it. Back then, Victor Dover came down and the townspeople got together. We did the charrettes. Before the port was sold, we were fighting to get it sold. And we went and we zoned that property. We did what we thought was proactive and getting ready for that property to be sold. I cannot tell you what a disappointment this is up here. It's a disgrace. But we are fighting not only for us, but for all of you and all our citizens. And we are not going down. And Whit, you know, when you were there, that I have fought because the waterways are important to these people in this room and this community, and I have begged for that, and it was in the plans for that promenade deck for us to be able to enjoy that waterfront, and I am not going to stop until we get it.
Couple things. Yeah, I'll keep on safe harbor. So I want y'all to know, absolutely reiterating what they said. We hear you. Anyone that's talked to me knows how unhappy I am with the situation. Anyone that's read the articles in the newspaper knows how unhappy I personally am with the situation. And speaking for myself, I plan to fight them for you with everything that we have, with any ammunition, with everything that we can, because we've been nice. We've been nothing but good neighbors for 2 years, and where has that gotten us? They're sticking up signs telling us to get off their property. We've given and given and given. When you're dealing with a bully, they only understand one thing, and we've got to stand up at some point. Speaking about the signs, the no trespassing signs, I was thinking about that earlier. We own 13th Street to the water. So, you know, they say no trespassing. 13th Street to the water is owned by the town. Let's have nightly sunset parties out there. See you all out there. Just because they will play tough with us does not mean we have to take it. Does not mean we have to be quiet. We have tools, and I plan to use that voice for y'all and everything that we have, as long as you'll let me. So that's all I've got to say about Safe Harbor. One more thing, because keeping Port Royal weird. Those are my shirts, if you've seen, and I wanted to explain what that means to me, because I usually wear deodorant. So to me, small.
Kev, you're balanced. I want you not to get in trouble. You're balancing on campaigning. Be careful. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
I don't want you to get trouble. I'd rather you anybody wait a few minutes. He'll meet you outside. He'll explain it. I just want you to be careful.
Okay. I'm explaining what I think about when I think about Port Royal.
It's your shirt. That's great. So now people can ask you the question, what it's about. I think that was a great way. Just leave it there. You're balancing. I just want you to be cautious.
And Stephen, I see you standing back there outside that door.
Well,
And I woke up at 4:30 this morning thinking about you and the rail. I'm sorry, Kevin, I thought you were done. I'm so
No,
sorry.
I was still going to say something. The keep Port Royal weird, to me, small, local, quaint, because that's what, in this day and age, is weird. When you drive around, you go to other communities, they're commercialized, they're looking the same. This place is weird. A community that knows each other, looks after each other, takes care of each other, that's weird in this day and age. Cool, coastal, far from ordinary. Far from ordinary is another word for weird. So that's what it means, Mr. Stillwell.
Ben, verify 13th Street, because I thought the right-of-way stopped at the railroad there.
I'll double check.
We need to verify, before we send everybody out there and anybody gets in trouble, let's verify 13th Street. I thought it stopped at the railroad track. Let's just make sure of that, just memories of the past, looking at that. 6th Street does not belong to the town of Port Royal. It does not. Hasn't for many years, right?
It hasn't since the Sands was donated to the town.
Yeah, we're talking Long, long,
80s.
long time. Yep,
The 80s.
yeah, long time. Sixth Street does not belong to Port Royal.
So
It was closed, if you remember, for many years it was closed off. We got it opened up for a while, but now that the construction has happened, they've closed it back off again. And I appreciate Gray Ghost, who owned it before. They were the ones who were willing to open it up and allow us to walk there while nothing was happening on there. But now the construction started, they've shut it again. Okay, we've got an executive session. We still have more business to do. We will be coming out of an executive session with an action because we still have to do the appointment. So if anybody wants to hang around and find out what that is, please do. I will entertain a motion to go into executive session. Please add personnel matters to whoever makes the motion. Quiet, please, while we get into executive session.
I make a motion. I make a motion that we go into executive session to discuss appointments
Quiet, please.
to the redevelopment commission and also advice related to the port development agreement and PUD
And personnel matters.
and personal matters.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everybody. If you want to wait out there, Out of executive session?
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The next item on our agenda is council action for an appointment for redevelopment commission. What's the pleasure of council?
I make a motion that we put David Stillwell on the redevelopment commission.
We have a motion to put David Stillwell on redevelopment. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everybody. No further action out of the executive session. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Agenda is complete. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.